Good morning. I am super excited about being here. I might get a little rambunctious because I'm very passionate about this. This is not going to be I speak, you guys watch and listen. This is supposed to be collaborative. We are all together doing what I think is probably the most important part to a business that as a business owner never even thinks about. And I think probably the hardest thing of what we do is convincing a business owner that actually planning for an exit is a good idea. We can tell them as service providers, everyone will tell them, their CPA, their financial planner, their attorney, their best friend, their spouse will say, hey, we need a plan. And I will tell you, working with them is getting them to actually decide to plan for something is by far the hardest thing that we have as a service provider. So I'm into this because I care. I care about business owners. I care about that transition, and I care about the families. I want to preface this slide deck to say none of my stories that I'm going to say I had to make up. I didn't exaggerate them. The stories that we're going to go through in an exit world is just examples of some of the clients that we have gone through and the different ways that we have to deal with the exit. My goal is to help you guys be exit consultants. I want to talk to you about what we've learned about how to get clients, how we charge clients, how we make the process work, so you can all be good exit planning and exit people to help them, because there's an enormous need out there. There is more business owners that are transitioning their wealth than our group can handle. So anything I can do to help you guys get better at it, that's what I'm passionate about. All right. So I want to get started. So you get a call from your service provider friend that says, hey, I've got a lead for you. John, here's the story. Actually, we've got 3 generations. Grandfather, father, son are running this business. Unfortunately, an ex-key employee came in, shot the dad, and killed the dad. Was running the company. Pulled the trigger on the second lieutenant, killed him, pulled the trigger on the son, and the gun jammed. Okay? Chaos ensues. Basically, now we have a business where grandfather, who had passed it down to his son, who'd been running the company, passed away. The second lieutenant's passed away, and the son, who's been in the business since he was nothing, is now there in a very difficult situation. Now you have to complicate that because every deal can get worse, right? Now the man who passed away, he remarried. He has a second wife. Second wife, okay, gets in the estate upon his passing a portion of his shares. There is no buy-sell agreement, okay? She doesn't want anything to do with the family. Family wants nothing to do with her. She says, I want my interest out of this business, okay? Seems like another scary but reality. Multiply it again. This business, the family has owned property and has bought property for this business. The first business was on a bunch of acreage. They outgrew it. Now they've got a tenant over there that's basically paying them 20 grand a month. And then they have their property that the business is on. And that's where they're running their business. The business itself, it really isn't worth much. The land and all the property is worth about $15 million according to the appraisal upon their death, okay? So we have a liquidity event that's asked to be, so she's looking for her interest in a business that can't afford to get financing. The dad is gone, the business can't afford it. The land is going to basically be called, and the sister and the brother, who are the grandkids, basically told, you're not my mother, you go pound sand. Hey, John, you want this client? Okay? That is just one example. Another example. Mom, dad are in their late 70s to early 80s. Their 2 boys, their daughter, who are all in their 50s, with each of their spouses, okay, decide that they're going to go open up a business together because they think this is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to open up a winery in Temecula because wineries are growing up there. I've always loved wine. Wine is the way that we're going to make our future, okay? Mom and dad, the grandparents, own 40% of the company, and then each of the individuals, the children and their spouses, each individually own 10%. No one owns a majority ownership of the company. And they all decide to hold hands and say, we're going to run a winery together. Now, the good news is they did really well. I mean, they actually did very well. If anybody's been up in Temecula lately, the wineries are doing well. They decided to expand. And they expanded in a big building in 2007 and 2008. And then the market dropped. Their mortgage started to come due because the construction was complete. They didn't have the money to do so. Mom and dad, who are in their 80s, basically weren't really running the company. They were now at financial risk because everyone had put everything in the game. Now all of the kids are in full chaos. None of them, everyone, brother, sister, sister-in-law, mother-in-law, everyone blames everybody else. And what we want to do is we want to be able to get mom and dad out with money that we don't have. Again, they were advised incorrectly, and they put the land, the 70 acres, inside the business. These are examples of what we have to deal with. How are you going to help me get out of this business and keep this family? Another example. Immigrant comes in with a couple of kids, comes into town, works hard. Works from ground up, works all the time, raises the children in the business. This is all they know. Why would you go to college? I can teach you everything. Let's work together. Built a good business, actually. Doing about $20 million, had 70 employees. They were doing very well. Dad passes away. Mom's getting unhealthy, so now the matriarch and patriarch that was holding them together, now there's a little challenge between the three boys. Each of them inherited 1/3 ownership because dad said, you guys help me build it, so each of you will have 1/3. And you guys will live happily ever after, and you will live in the benefits of what we have done. Oldest brother, if you guys have siblings, each of my siblings are different. The older brother is the one who is actually the responsible one. He's the one who actually has the money, he has the credit, he's the CEO, he's holding it together. The other brother's already BK'd once, kind of a wild and crazy cowboy, and the other one really doesn't like all the challenge and all the business stuff and would rather just kind of sit down over in his corner and be quiet and kind of work a few hours as he needs to. But everything is split 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, because that's the way dad wanted it. That was all not doing well, but doing better until the oldest brother gets a divorce. He gets a divorce, new wife comes in, new wife adds a new dynamic. Now the original two sisters-in-laws with the new wife are not aligned. She feels like, hey, my husband is running this company. It's our assets that are on the line. Now that my assets are on the line too, I think that we should have majority and controlling interest. How do I buy them out and put them in a minority position? None of these are going to be a good, so you want to thank the service provider? Still, thanks you guys. But this is the key to what we do in exit consulting. The key is that there is hair on these deals. And what you're trying to do is, it's about a business, but it's also about a family. And it's also about a legacy. And they have a 0% chance of figuring it out themselves. There is no way they can do it. And to be honest, there's no way that I can do it or you can do it. We all need each other to do this. There is real estate people involved in this. There are financial planning. There are shrinks. I mean, there's marriage counsel. There's a whole lot of things that we got to work through on some of these deals. And the key to it is when you do the exit strategy and you get the call, these kinds of dynamics are very, very deep into how do we run a business, how do we run a family, and then how do we transition it. So these are just a couple. I could do this all day, and I'll give you some more examples. On a quick note, I was introduced, thank you very much. I think the key piece to all of this is I'm a business owner and I care about the owner. I think the key piece to me is I went into business with my cousin and my dad. Because I thought at 25 I knew everything. And what would you guys say? Like, oh, you shouldn't go into business with your brother, or you shouldn't go with your family, and you shouldn't have partners, and bring your dad in too. That'll be a really good idea. So at 25, with a few beers and a couple of napkins, my cousin and I said, sweet, we now run our own company. Unfortunately, my cousin and I split up, and to this date, I still don't talk to him. And he lives in the same town that I live in. His kids and my kids don't see each other. okay? It is an unfortunate situation. My dad and I stayed together, and he and I worked through it. I ended up buying him out, and he was very supportive, and I give him full credit. I will tell you that it's harder as a parent now to support your child, knowing when they're not making the right decisions, for my dad to step and say, sure, son, I will support you. So the credit goes to my dad, not to me on that. But it's important to understand that this is I truly understand. When I sold my company in 2005, again, that process was a horrible experience. I mean, $1 million, $1.5 million maybe not be much to service providers, but to a 40-year-old, and then I got to give half that to the government after everything I've done, it was agitating to say the least. Second of all, I didn't have good attorneys. I didn't like attorneys. I didn't have good service providers because I didn't have any. I invested everything in the company. I had no financial plan. Everything I put in was the company. I had 50 employees. We were running hard. I was committed. I had 2 kids. Was on the chamber. I was helping. I mean, I was busy. My CPA was only there to help me mitigate taxes. I didn't have anybody on my team, so I hired a broker because that's what everyone said. That was a horrible experience, okay? So I go through the process. I was successful enough at selling the business, and then I took paper on it because they always say, you know what, you should sell or carry. Well, how do I know that? Well, 2006, well, you go 2008, you take a 4-year note. Guess who stiffed me on my note of $250,000 that they owed me? And I had to go back to my wife and say, now, I know I said we were going to do something different, and I knew I was, but ultimately, by the way, we're not going to get that money. It was secured against the house. But SBA had a higher position than I did. So when I say that we're exit consultant, I am passionate about it because I understand it, okay? This isn't something I grew up to be. None of you grew up to say, I want to be an exit consultant. No one sits around and says, hey, what you're trying to do is you want to help people. Okay, that's what we are. We're in the service industry. We want to service people. We want to help people. I am passionate about helping people, and that's why we formed Exit Consultant. Okay. So here's some tidbits on what we've learned over the years. Who are your clients? It's a great question marketing always asks you. Is the business owner your client, or the service provider your client that sends you the clerk? We at Exit Consultant have decided that our clients are you guys. Service providers are our key clients. When you call us, we want you to look good. We want you to be the point. We want you to be successful. We want your clients to take care of. You are the people that we want to help through the exit, okay? These are the people that already have business relationships. The CPAs have 40 business owners. I've spent an enormous amount of hours trying to get in front of business owners and talk to them about an exit, and they never got out. They just, yeah, I need to, yeah, I should, yeah. And you can spend driving time and lunches and meals forever. In reality, the concept of exit planning, which I thought we were going to be able to do, is not when we think they're ready, it's when they're ready. And I've learned that they're not ready until they're ready. And they freaking just decide that day. They drop the mic and go, okay, I'm ready to go. And you're like, you've been doing it for 35 years. Can you give me a little bit of time here? But no, they literally say, I'm ready now. So I've decided in our company that that's not who we want to hunt down. We want to hunt down all you guys. We want to be your best advisor on this team. So financial planners, all of you guys have clients, all the different attorneys, CPAs, M&A advisors, and each one of those, even associations. We work with a lot of trade associations because they have members. They're trying to teach their members how to get out. Those are good referral sources. Who's our competitors? Same people. All you do what we do, okay? Each of us have a different piece to it, right? So we're M&A advisors, so we do transactions also. But financial planners can do what we do. That's what you guys are here for, right? Attorneys all say that they can do. CPAs will actually do an exit. Oh, it's just between 2 brothers. We'll put this transaction together, and 2 attorneys will say, yeah, we don't need anybody. We can do it. And they can. In some deals, they absolutely can. So the key is they're our competitors, but they're also our clients. This is how we see things. And in reality they're also, in reality, we all collaborate together. Ultimately, who should be running point on an exit? I'm asking you, who should run an exit process? of these people?
I'm biased because I'm a planner, so financial planner.
Okay.
Whoever the trusted advisor is.
That's what I agree with. No one here is the right exit planner. No one here is the wrong one. Whether you're CPA certified, whether you're a financial planner, whether you're a CPA, it doesn't matter. Our business owners have certain people that they have trusted. Whether they should or shouldn't is a whole secondary question, but the fundamental fact is that you're getting called in by a trusted advisor, okay? Or someone who needs to be. Now, if they don't have one, you can be that. But there is only one quarterback, and there is only one pitcher, but that's not the team that wins. It takes everybody to win, okay? So the key is when you are called into an operation, you say, hey, I've got the deal, and you've got these ones that I gave you an example. The key is to understand that you as a team need to figure out the right solution. And you have to help each other get there, okay? Everybody around here is really important in their own rights, but every one of you collaborate together for the owner. So if you focus on an owner-centric model, and you say, hey, I've got a client, very dysfunctional. We've got a bunch of issues. We've got real estate issues. We've got trust issues. We have business issues. We have HR issues. We have blah, blah, blah. Great. Who's going to do what, and how are we going to attack it? Because all of you have a skill that the other person does not, okay? I've kind of figured out that in the exit consulting world, the owners are parents, and the business is a child. Now, this child can be anywhere from a newborn to a punk high school to an independent person as a college or on their own, doing their own thing, to a very old crotchety in a wheelchair, should have been put to sleep and put a needle in and walk them out, right? Like that's a long ways away, right? Like that one's, whoo, but they're still parents, and they don't see it. And you as advisors, and we as advisors, have to be that person that comes in and says, hey, you got a great kid, but hey, we gotta plan for them a little bit. We gotta think about it a little bit. We gotta figure out where we're gonna go with them. So it's really important that you all understand that we are all the best resource, but the owners, they really don't know. And it's your job to help them be the best parent. Okay? So whether you want to call yourself an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent or a mentor, that's really how I've perceived our role, okay, based on the years. Okay, I want to talk to you about our process. You guys give us a call. Hey, John, I got a lead. It's a great person, completely dysfunctional. And we go, great. We do a pre-qual test. Kind of says, time is money to us. All we have is time. We're in the service provider world. All we can do is we have to make choices every day. Do we come to a thing like this? Do we get any billings? How do we spend our time? We've learned that there's an enormous amount of business owners in the process of figuring out where they want to be in the exit. Sometimes they just want to understand. Sometimes they're in a complete pain. Our goal is to kind of pre-qualify them and find out where are they in the cycle. In order to do that test, you have to identify who's your ideal client, right? Because that's part of, do I take the lead or do I not take the lead? Okay? So we as a group come up with what kind of business owner would be ideal to work for in the world of exit consulting. Right? Once again, these are choices. These are opportunities that all of you have to decide. It's kind of marketing 101 and sales 101. But in the pre-qual test, here's what we have determined. If you call us up and say, hey, I've got a business owner. Do they own it themselves or are there multiple partners? They own it themselves. Okay. That's okay, but that's not our ideal client. Because an individual business owner is used to being in charge of everything. They are king. Everything they do runs through them. They need things, they don't need things. They make the decisions about what they want. If you call up and say, hey, there are two partners, we go, now we might be able to help them. So that's a little higher score. Two partners, or multiple partners, which we would say, multiple partners and their family. Two brothers and a sister like that, we're like, now there's a very low chance that multiple partners that are family members can figure out a way to get out of this business without imploding because of all the dynamics associated with the family. Now, then it goes to the final level, which is the, we'll be there tomorrow, multi-generational, multi-partners. Mom and dad, or dad runs the company with 2 kids in it that are also owners. There is a 0%, actually it will implode if they don't get help. Because when dad wants to leave and the other 2 kids want to do it and there's other kids that aren't in the business that want to be, that believe that they're getting a better deal, it all becomes very hairy and difficult. So in the world of exit consulting, for us, multi-generational, multiple partners, business owners are the ones that need the most help. Doesn't mean we don't help everybody along the way, but that gives us our highest score, okay? And you'll have to do this on different, the size of the client, the location of the client, what do they want to do? I mean, there's a whole scorecard that we use, but I think the key piece is for you guys to identify who are you looking for and when it's worth their time, okay? So we call it a pre-qual test. All right, once we do we call them on the phone, we talk to them, we have a list of questions, then we do this test. We go, yeah, actually, they'll be good. We're going to go down and meet with you. Now we'll spend our time to physically meet with you. Because you don't want to, your time is valuable. And you want to spend your time only with those people that actually fit within the constraints of what you're looking for. Every client is not a good client. And it's hard when you are in the service world like we are in, that we always want to say yes to everybody. I get told that way too often. Why are you meeting these people? Well, because they have a problem and they need help and I want to help them. Well, is that your highest and best use? Okay? Then we go meet them. First thing, my key piece to you guys when it comes to exit planning and exit consulting is find the win. Why do they want your help? What do they want? What is the win? Sometimes it is, I'm just done, I'm tired. Sometimes I'm sick, sometimes my wife is sick, sometimes my partner's just frustrating as hell, I just want to get out. Sometimes it's like, I got an offer in front of me and I don't know what to do with it. There's a whole, sometimes it's risk mitigation, sometimes the market's changing. Just why? Just listen. Find out from the owner why. And many times they don't know. They just think it's time, they're not sure, and sometimes it's a good trigger event. What we do then is we'll end up, if we'll give them a proposal for an assessment. Put a little piece of paper on your thing on what an assessment is. What we need to do first is we need to assess your business. We need to assess whether or not you can even achieve what you think we want to do. And in this assessment, the goal is let's agree on what you said you want, all the partners want. Let's agree on where the business is, and then let's see where the market is, and let's see if those even are aligned. Because it's really important that before we get into any real contract, we all agree on the rules of engagement. Because there's nothing worse than going into these projects as a consultant without a deliverable. Because they all think we're overpaid, they all don't know why we're doing it, and they're all ready to fire you once they figure out that you've solved it all, okay? So the key is define the rules, define what the pain is, define what the rules are. And then what we do is we give them a proposal to get it done. We don't just give them a list. There was nothing I hated more as a business owner than an advisor coming in and going, hey, John, here, I'll do an analysis of your whole business. Here's all your strengths and weaknesses. Here's your financial plan. Here's that. And I go, nope, no kidding. I understand. I don't have time. I'm already working 60 hours. I'm already trying to deal with this next client. I'm already got an employee issue. I'm already trying to deal with cash flow. Can you just help me? This is where the key piece to helping business owners is actually helping them execute. We actually go in their business. We actually go in and work with them on their sides. We have 9 people on our team. We have accounting people. We hire HR consultants. We hire sales consultants. We hire marketing consultants. We hire financial planners and attorneys, and we do it all to help them. We say, that's not what we do, but this is what needs to be done, and I got it for you. Let me help you through this process. And as a consultant, that's what you're doing. You need to call each other. You need to know what everybody does. Oh, my bank, you look at their finance and go, well, I got a bunch of banking relationships. Let me call in some banking people. Hey, my real estate, I don't know what to do with. I'll call my real estate broker friend. Help them. They just want help. Everything you told them, they probably already knew. They just don't have time to do it. So if you can go in and say, so this is how we sell our work. We're going to be your project manager, okay? We're going to be your CEO. We're going to take this project, and we're going to define it here with our SWOT analysis and our SMART goals, and we're going to say, this is what we're going to do for you. Now, you keep doing your stuff. You have a project manager who does this, and you have somebody else marketing who does that. This is what we do, and we'll report directly to you. And we'll work with your different team, and we will help you achieve that goal. And I will tell you from a CEO's perspective, that's all I wanted. I just wanted someone to get the stuff off of me that I could trust. So if you can do that, you guys can get a job, and you can help business owners. Because most what we hear from exit planners is, I give you a plan, and here you go. We don't need a plan. We need a plan, but that's one piece. The execution is the hard part, okay? Define the win, okay? Here's the key. Just had this conversation. Been working with a client. So here's the situation. Dad died, ran the company, sole owner. So I get a call from an attorney. Owner passed away. He was the maverick ran the whole company himself. 50 employees, doing about $10 million in revenue. Mom is the beneficiary. She's his third wife. Yes, I know, this is where it starts getting scary. So third wife, she needs $15,000 a month to live on. Okay, because that's what she's accustomed to. In after-tax cash, okay? There is nobody in the business that can run it. The second lieutenant who was running the plant decided, hey, I'll step into the CEO role, and was doing a good job. But when I met him, he basically said, I've been working 7 days a week for the last 6 months, and I even had a time to mourn. I'm just trying to hold this together. The wife says, I don't know anything about the business. I just need my cash, okay? We do a business valuation, and it's probably worthwhile. The valuation came in at $4 million. Well, with after-tax cash, and there was a step up in basis, it's not enough to produce 15 grand in after-tax cash, and she's only 52. So we're sitting around going, what do you want to do? So there's a trust attorney, there was the transaction attorney, the financial planner, the CPA, myself, and then the daughter who was the trustee, because the wife isn't mentally capable of making the right decisions. And we all sat down together, and here were my choices that I brought to them. We can make this a lifestyle business. We could, as long as you want 15 grand a month in after-tax cash, that means, just for easy math, call it 30 grand, because I got to pay, call it half in taxes, right? So I got to make $360,000. The company has historically made $500,000 to $600,000 a year, and this year they're doing better. So I would say that from a business perspective, we could potentially put the right person in place, get you a CEO, and just kind of stay where it is. Because they own the buildings are being rented, she gets a little cash there, but it's fully packed out. Like, there's nowhere to expand. So we can't grow this business, it's just maintain it. And that's okay, that is an option. Professional management. This is literally bringing in a CEO, putting a board of directors in place, and or bring a private equity group in, takes a minority or even a majority ownership interest, comes in and actually tries to take this company to the next level, and you just go along the ride, okay? If you want to do that, because we got to get to a liquidity event that allows you to get to the numbers that you need in after-tax. Financial planner, what does that math out? Financial planner said she needs about $4.5 to $5 million in after-tax cash. Invested, that's what we need. I said, okay, great. Well, I got to sell it for, let's see, basis, step up in basis was 4 million. I got to pick up another million. I got to sell it between 6, and I got to get paid, let's call it 6.5 between all the service providers. So let's just call it easy math, $7 million. Well, it ain't worth, it's only worth 4. I can't sell it for 7. This is an option. Sell a portion of it now and help them go through that process. Just sell it. Just learn to live within the means of what you have. Just because you want 15 grand a month in after-tax cash. What we end up finding is when we work with a financial planner, we say, what the definition of need, what's $15,000 a month? Well, they got a couple kids, she's passing some money out to the couple of kids, we've got some other things that she's kind of doing. She doesn't need it, but she's handing it out and is a very generous person. Well, then that's not a need, that's a want. You, financial planner, get to go work with them on that. That's not my wheelhouse, okay? But just sell it. What if we sell it for 4, you get $4 million, you reinvest it, so you're a little short. It's okay. Call the family together and say, stop living off of mom. You know, you guys are freaking adults, grow up, okay? Another one is basically prepare it for max value and then sell it, all right? And then so that is, okay, our goal is $8 million. This is what I said. If our goal is to sell it for $7 or $8 million, we have to move out of this facility. I got to hire a new CEO. We need to automate this process. We got to clean up all your HR because Dad was a cowboy and nothing is there paperwork-wise. And we got to look at our product concentration. We got to look at our customer concentration, and we got to expand this out so it actually is of value. Let's identify who our future buyer is going to be, and let's build it. It's going to cost you a couple $1 million in CapEx because we're going to have to reinvest. We're going to have to move. It's going to take us a couple years to recoup that once we do it. If we automate the system, we're going to fire some of your employees that you're all loyal to. You've got 2 brothers and sisters that work in the business that are useless. We're going to terminate them, because the CEO is going to be incentivized to grow this business and do it. What do you want to do? And the trustee, yes?
If they own the buildings, why would you recommend that they move out?
I didn't, from a business size, I can't get the volume there. I don't want them. That's why we have to bring a real estate in, because now what are we going to do with the buildings? Do we sell those, 1031 it into a bigger building? Do we just sell it and take that issue out? But from the amount of volume we have to do in revenue, we are already maxed out at that place. Like, they're already driving around golf cart. I mean, it's cowboy. It's just Dad living off of, it was a lifestyle. He was making good money. Everybody loved him. Customers loved him. Good work. And so he was happy. But that's not an exit when you go die. That's a lifestyle in that business. So the reason is, I don't say we should, but it's something we have to look at if they want to get there, is that. Okay, here's the deal when it comes to, I would challenge you guys to focus on these 3 things when you're working with your owners, okay? When it comes to an exit, you got to find out if the owner's ready. Because if the owner's not ready, even if the business is ready, and even if the market is ready, they're not going to sell. And what I mean is the owner ready, I mean, are they willing to sell it at fair market value? You don't set the value, I don't set the value, they don't set the value. Market sets the value. And being an owner ready is, are you financially prepared? Are you emotionally prepared? And are you willing to walk away from this business? And if it's your name on the building and you've been doing it for 35 years and you're the single owner and you're the person, you gotta find out if the owner's ready. Because developing an exit without the owner being willing to is really hard because they don't focus. They only want to focus on when they're ready. Key step, business readiness. Just because the owner says I'm done doesn't mean that the child's ready to go out to college. You could put a 14-year-old in college, or I've seen 24-year-olds in college. Doesn't mean that they're successful or not going to be successful. So you have to evaluate the business. So we have a process where we evaluate the owner. We have a process that we evaluate the business. We have a whole bunch of questions we do. We look at all their financials. We do a bunch of projections, and we're trying to determine, is the business ready? And then ultimately the question is, who's the market? Are you going to sell it to your key employee? You're going to sell it to your kid? You're going to sell it to an ESOP? You want to take it out to market to a third-party buyer. And is that market available? A lot of that has to do with financing. Are you willing to finance it? I could sell you any business for no money down. I'll sell it to you. I'll tell you for $100 million, I'll pay $1,000 for the next 1,000 years. You just give me the terms, I'll sell it. That's the key is there a market? What is that market? And how do we do it? Okay, so when it comes to your guys' exit planning, that's where we want to go. All right, exit types. Family transitions. This is probably where most family-run businesses, they go, I think I'm going to give it to my kid, and because my child has my last name, it's automatically going to be successful. And I will tell you that typically how we see things is, G1, business owners are mavericks, go-getters, cowboys, fighters, scrappy people. You tell them no, they tell you, get out of my way. They will run through you, over you, around you, but for them to be successful, no has not been an answer. And their children that have been raised with this type of parent has usually been involved in the business in some way, because the parent's like, come on, I need your help, I need you to get in there. Or, they didn't get to the Little League game, or they didn't get to the dance, or they didn't get to the play, or they didn't get to something. And so these children, oftentimes, G2 business owners, one of the children thinks that they can do it, or some of them will say they don't want to do it. But the ones that do, what we typically see on G2 is that those kids are more professionals. So they have seen what their dad or their parents have done, and they're like, I don't want to do that much. I want to have a quality of life, particularly the millennials these days. Their whole concept of, well, I'll just leave that alone. But the work ethic and the millennials and the concept of I have to work hard for future seems to be a little more challenging or skipped a generation versus those a lot. And so what they do is they want to be professionals. So you'll see a lot of G2s that are attorneys, CPAs, financial planners. They want to manage the wealth, they want to manage the process because the company has come to a place where there's now people in place. There's actually managers that are managing things. So they want to come in as a manager. They don't want to actually start at the bottom and work their way through. So they want to manage the company. Or if they can't manage, they want to be a suit and they want to manage other people because they like that. They like to manage the parents' wealth. Parents pass away, there becomes a liquidity event. They just want to protect, they have a good job because they always have a good hard work ethic because they learn from their parents. Yet they also don't want that life of an entrepreneur. G3 typically will be more of a teacher, a nurse, a musician. They've been brought up in a nice life. Mom and dad are suits, they wear nice, mom, the grandparents got some cash, they have a good lifestyle, everything is good, parents are around, they can show up for the event, and now the kids are like, oh, well, I think quality of life is the most important thing in the world. And then all the money that G1 used, the earned, G2 spent, and G3 has some, and then we start the whole cycle over. Okay, so in an overgeneralization, that's what we will see. But in a family transition, I will tell you the hardest part is educating the owners that their children are not capable of doing this. What we call an MBO, which is a management buyout. Hey, I got a key employee. I want to sell this company. Johnny over here wants to buy this business. Okay, and we're going to sell it to him, and he's going to pay us back with the profits, and we're going to live happy. And I'm going to go to take a sailboat, and they're just going to take over this company because they've been great. An ESOP is a trust, and that is a different kind of buyer, but it's typically owned by the employees. So it is different than an MBO, which is identified buyers of key management group. So oftentimes you have a single one or two people. We would call that an MBO. If you're going to sell it to a whole company, you would do an ESOP. These are called voluntaries, right? Third-party sales. So third-party sales is literally, I don't have any family. I don't have anybody who wants it. I don't have a key employee. I just want out. I just take it to market. Okay. That's an exit. And then an identified buyer. Hey guys, hey John, I got a client. They got an offer. They don't know what to do with it. Two guys are looking at an offer. We're not really sure. Lamar and I just met with somebody. Two partners got an offer. Should we take it? Should we not? What are your thoughts on it? And our first question is, what's the win? Why do you want to sell? Just because someone brought you an offer? And is that offer what you want? And why are you doing this? So we kind of gave them quick math. Let's assume your business, because we hadn't seen any of the financials. Let's assume that you're making 500 grand, okay, in net, okay? And you guys, you're working 20 hours a week. Life's pretty good. You've got a quality of life. You're kind of bored now, making 500 grand. Maybe we should sell it. Okay, great. If you want that 500 grand, let's assume that you can get 5% interest, rates of return on some kind of something. I got to put $10 million in after-tax cash. To do that, I got to sell it for somewhere around $18 million. Any business that is doing 500 grand in net is probably not going to be worth $18 million. So quickly, the question becomes, why do you want to get out? Is it because you're bored? That's fine. Then we sell it for whatever market is. But the biggest challenge you have with identified buyers is, I will tell you, I won't say none, but a very, very, very few identified buyers actually close on the deal. All your business owners are going, hey, someone called me and said they're really interested. Hey, I got this fax. I get this, well, I just dated myself, sorry, fax. I got this email. We used to get faxes. Got an email. I got this person who says, hey, I want to buy my business, and I think I should talk to them, and they're great, and they said they have a buyer. It's all a lie. It's just fishing. All they want to do is, when you have a single identified buyer, and here's the key to your clients, no one's going to negotiate against themselves. So no one is going to give you highest price. They're going to give you whatever they think they can get for it. And I won't tell you that that's not a bad deal. I mean, I'm working with a client right now whose wife's in the hospital and he's distracted from the company, and these guys know, and they came to him, and then they're willing to give him a job as long as he stays, and the package. And I said, if you like the price for where you are, then it's a good deal. There is no definition of fair market value except you as a business owner, as a seller, and them as a buyer are happy. I will tell you there is no right answer. If you're okay with the consequences of the choices that you took and the risks associated with keeping it or getting rid of it, then take the deal. If you want to take it to market and get highest value, that's a whole different story. But you're saying you have an identified buyer that you want to work with and you want to do. I will tell you that we had an attorney called up and said, hey, John, my client brought me an LOI. This is a microbrewery. I think he's getting screwed. I think he's absolutely getting screwed. And I think, but he loves this buyer. This buyer wants to take it. They're going to give him all cash and everything else. Would you be willing to meet him? And I said, I'm happy to meet anybody. So I go and meet him. I look at it. And I said, I would tell you that general comps would say that you're on the low side. Could I get more? Yes. But if you just are happy, then go. I'm fine if you're good. So he says, well, we're looking. I said, well, I'll make a deal with you. You've got a $2 million offer on your plate. I will get nothing unless I get it over that, okay? So I'll take 50% of anything I get over, because you're willing to take the the $2 million. I'll take 50% over that, and it doesn't cost you anything, okay? So, well, that seems steep. It's like, really, you're negotiating terms on something you've already agreed to? I'm saying it's over and above what you've already agreed to. If you believe your number is good, I am happy to go to them, and I'm happy to see if I can negotiate more. And so he said, fine, okay? But you can't blow this buyer up, and because I'm going to sell it to him, and you can't screw this thing. And I said, well, that's fair. I mean, at the end of the day, it's between you two. So I put a package together, and I went to the buyer, and 2 hours later, I got him another $750,000 more for the deal, and he thought he overpaid me. He was like, I just overpaid you. I go, the way I look at it is you just made $350,000 more in 2 hours. So I'm not sure why I got overpaid. I'm just telling you, you could have had more because that's not what I would have been paid if I negotiated in the first place, but this is where you are in the process. The key for all of your owners to know that an identified buyer, when it's just a single buyer, rarely are you getting highest price. Doesn't mean it's a wrong deal. It just means let them know. We're not here to tell them it's right or wrong. We're here to educate them on the facts, okay? These are voluntary. Involuntary, death, right? I mean, there's nothing worse. Got a client, an investment banker called up and said, hey, owner is in medical devices. He's got a bunch of startups. He's basically, whenever he starts with his incubator, and then once it does, it spins off. And then he starts different entities. So this owner dies, and he has 8 entities, all in medical devices. It's too small for investment bankers. They don't know what she should do with it. She's just got this business that says, I don't know what to do with them. The key incubator business is run by a CEO who does a great job. We ended up looking at them all. We consolidated 2, closed 2, and sold 2. But the reality is all the owner wanted was, what should I do with my business? I've worked with a dentist who flew his plane into the side of a mountain. That's a tough one, right? The ones that are instant death are hard because the ones that have, hey, I've got terminal 4 cancer and I can put a plan together. That's a little better to bring you in because you can get some strategies. But death is one that is absolutely a triggering event for many of the service providers that say, hey, we got an immediate pain. Divorce. Now, divorce is twofold. One is, hey, you and I are partners and I want out. And those divorce exits are a challenge. You get a call from an attorney that says, hey, these 2 partners have been in business, but they don't want to be in business anymore. They want to take this plane down. Can you help them through this process? That's a challenge to help them through that process because you cut a wing off a plane, it's still going down. You need the whole friggin' plane to work. In a business, when you're looking at this child, you can't cut your child in half and say you get one and I get one. That's not in the best interest of the child. So this is a very tough negotiation and a tough exit. You're generally like the lightning rod. You're the person that's, that has to be the grounder. But this is an important piece in what we do in exit planning, and we really assist a lot of attorneys in doing this. Disability. This is typically where there's an illness that I have experienced, where the key owner becomes sick, doesn't want to get out, but can't work as many hours. And as you all know, business owners, if you're not all in, the business starts to go down. If they start mentally checking out, and whether they're disabled or their spouse is disabled, and they take their hands off the wheels, you start seeing this company go down. And that's hard, but when you have partners, and one of the key partners is stepping out, and the other ones are like, hey, they're not holding up their own, how do we want to do this? Maybe we're going to buy them out. Of course, there was no planning. They don't have any liquidity to do so, and you try to figure out the right way to do so. But this is a big step for you guys at the exit planning side. And then departure. Departure is I'm just done, And I put that as involuntary is we deal with it when the partner departs. And the partner walks in and goes, and it's usually January, February. It's usually in January we get the calls because people have spent their holidays with the family and friends, and they kind of relax and look into their next year, 2019, and I want to lose 20 pounds, and I want a better relationship with my whatever, and my partner's an ass, and I don't want to deal with him anymore. I'm just done. You get this call going, I'm not going to do it again. I'm just not going to spend another year doing it. And the other partner had no idea. But one's a sales one, one's an ops person, one says this, one that, but they literally just go. Another one says, do what you want to do. Leave if you want to leave, but I'm not leaving. How do you guys help them through that exit? These are all different types of exits. Okay, the key piece to everything that we do is you have to build a plan. I'm going to basically circle back. And basically the plan is understand why they're exiting. Okay, if you don't know why they want to get out, and you don't know what their key piece is, we can't build a plan. Okay, here's what I tell them. You want to run a marathon? Great. You want to do it in a year? Wow, okay. You want to do it with 8-minute miles? All right. That's different than you want to run half a marathon in 2 years with 12-minute miles, okay? It's a totally different plan. But the key is they just need to know someone who can help them through that plan. For you to know how to build a plan, you have to know what that triggering point is. And when there's multiple partners and there's family members, figuring that out is a game of trying to solve a lot of problems, because a lot of people don't have a good triggering point. And then whenever you're in partners, you have their spouse who's always got the pillow talk chirping in their ear and is usually more defensive than the actual business owners themselves. The spouses will say, oh, my husband or my wife, they should get this, they deserve that, and then they leave. They just seagull in, fly in, crap on you, and fly out, right? And like, really? Was that really that helpful? That is not quite the way we needed to help this. But truly, understanding your trigger point is super important, okay? Once we know what their trigger is, then we figure out how to define the win. And your win might be different than his win, might be different than his win, if we have multiple. So the key is not win as in what's the transaction, but the win is we're working for the owners. And we as service providers all have different skill sets. And when we know what that win is for each different owner, then we all have to build different plans around each one of them. Remember, the win is for the owner. That's not, the plan is for the business. It's really different, okay? The win is for the owner. How do I help you get there, whatever there is? Then the path is the business. That's why they were brought in, because they have this asset and they have this child and they don't know how to deal with this child to get to their win. So when you are designing your path, defining the win, defining that and getting a path, how do we get this business to get them to where they want to go? And then please, of all things, help them. Don't just give them a list of things to do. Be their key advisor. Be that trusted advisor. Be the person that says, I got you. There is nothing worse, or there's nothing better than a feeling of meeting with an owner who's literally crying, saying, I don't know what to do. And I don't want to lose my family, or I don't want to lose my business, or I just don't know what to do. And you look them in the eye and say, I got you. I've done this path. I'm your Sherpa. You want to get to the top of the mountain? I've been there before. I'm just going to tell you it's going to be bumpy. We're going to have highs and lows, but when I tell you to take a rest, because I know what's coming up. When I say run, I say we run. Okay? And when I say we're okay, we're going to be okay. Just know I'll get you there. But don't leave them alone. Please don't leave them alone. Okay, you guys? So here's kind of our motto. We're client first. Okay? Everything we do is around what does the client want. That's what we ask all our service providers. We have to be client-centric. It's not, should I sell them insurance? Should I sell their business? Should I change their principal loan? I should sell their building. If you guys are that way, we don't want to work with you, because that's not what we're about. The plan is not what's in the best interest of you as a service provider. Plenty of work is out there. It will come once you have a plan. If you're client first, and then you're owner-centric, and then you do it as a team, you guys will build a successful exit planning thing. And what's great about EPI and what's great about the CPA is that that's what it's building. And that's why I'm such a supporter. Okay? So we are owner-centric. We are process-oriented. We have processes in everything we do. And we need you. We need absolutely every one of you. We need EPI. We need CPAs. We need planners. We need teamwork. And we need you guys to do it. So that's it. Thank you very much for your time.